down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
Bang, bang, what up? This is your friend, Steve VanCauwenbergh. You tuned into the Savvy Radio Show. And, you know, it's really cool. You know, you got to get involved in real estate clubs, meetings, and then you meet really good people. And so I was at a real estate meeting the other day, which I've never done this, but my homie was like, let's just go hang out. And I was like, you know, I need to have a friend. And guess what? He's here on the radio show.
You've got a friend in me.
Welcome, a veteran, always on the radio show for life till I die. He should have his own show because he's so funny. It's JJ Grits with two T's.
With two T's.
Many years I've misspelled your name, and you've brought that to my attention several times. We won't tell people your real name.
Yeah, we can. That's fine.
That's your code name for your cool JJ. All right, so he's like, we're hanging out at this restaurant, talking real estate, why other people are getting blinded by buying a course somewhere. And we were talking about cash on cash return. And I was like, man, that'd be a really good podcast. I've just been trying to do more real estate podcasts of just basic stuff of understanding like cap rates, just things that, you know, you have to listen to 10,000 times, 10, 20, 30 times to get it what rolls off your tongue.
Yeah.
And so you're that guy. You're that information that someone's going to click by listening to this. So tell me how you calculate cash on cash return.
Okay. Yeah. So cash on cash is just a one of the many things that I look at to evaluate a deal. So I have a target to hit. If it's a property that we're going to have to leave cash in, you know, I'm going to want 15% cash on cash or better. And I really don't like leaving, you know, much more than $10,000 or so in a deal.
Interesting. So that's a matrix that you have already. If it's a no money down deal,
it's a no money down deal, then your cash on cash is infinite, right?
So, and then you have a barrier of 10,000 is what your maximum is. What you like to
I
put
wouldn't
in?
say it's the maximum. That's typically what I try to shoot for if it's a single family residence. And honestly, the reason that it's that level is because I don't have just unlimited millions of dollars to dump into properties. So it has to be the only time I'm going to leave cash tied up in something is if it's a big equity play. So if it's a perfect example is I have a house in Yukon. It's the most expensive house in our rental fleet. It's worth about $175,000. I bought it for $115,000. We put about another $10,000 in it, and I've got like in that house
50.
I've got do what?
50,000 in equity.
Yeah, right. And it's in an appreciating part of Yukon, right? So the price will go up over time, ideally.
Mm-hmm. We hope.
Right. My loan balance on that one's like $110,000. So I put $5,000 in it at the closing table, and then all the repairs I put cash in as well.
So you have 15 in it total,
right? But it cash flows really, really good. I think that one.
Now, what terms did you get on that loan?
So I have it on interest only right now, but we are repositioning some stuff in the portfolio over to 30-year terms, which will really, really, really pump the returns up on that thing.
All right. Before we get into the cash on cash equation here, so my first question was in my mind, I didn't ask, is like, do you always buy on a certain percentage?
No.
So you buy on a deal or cash flow? Because I love this that so your first parameter is if I leave cash in, this happens.
Right.
So I do the same thing. But mine is on a percentage of the deal. So if it's $100,000 house, if it's 60 to 70%, it doesn't matter to me. I buy it. Do you have any kind of parameters on that side?
Not necessarily. I mean, I can borrow up to 80%. So it's as long as it's under 80%, then I know it could potentially be a no money deal, right?
Except for your repairs, or do you factor that in?
I mean, I look at it a bunch of different ways. I know I can borrow up to 80% of whatever it appraises for. So that's kind of my threshold of I don't have to put any cash into it. Sometimes I'll leave cash into it to juice the returns a little bit, right? If you got extra cash sitting in the bank, you're not earning nothing on that right now, basically, you know? So if I can leave some cash in it and get 15% on that money, or 20% or 30% or whatever it is, then that's a good use of my capital that otherwise was just laying dormant, right?
So one thing, don't mean to interrupt you, but you got some good points I want to elaborate on. Number one, you said several times already you're getting a return on your cash.
Yeah.
I know this is the title of the episode.
Right.
But like, do you ever, what's your driver? Is it equity or is it cash flow?
Both.
Listen, ding ding.
I mean, for
you
real.
You got to choose one.
Yeah. You don't have to choose one, actually.
Well, what's your driver? Listen to the question, Itch. The question is, what's your main driver?
It depends on the house. Legit depends
okay, so
on the house.
now we're moving up to the house.
Yeah.
So what's your driver on a house?
So I want cash flow if it's a lower end property. If it's a Class C property or something like that, then it's really
so
about
you got
cash flow.
matrices in the place.
Right. If it's a upper Class B or a Class A house, then I'm going to look at a combination of everything, right? What is my equity position? What is my cash flow? What do I think the market's going to do? I mean, I don't rely so much on appreciation, but I do look at it. I mean, it's a factor, right?
But you don't make a decision on that, do you?
I don't.
Good.
No.
See, that's why we're boys.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Because I don't know whoever thinks that way.
It's not guaranteed, but I mean, it is a factor that is at play, right? If it's an area that's super hot right now, but I think in 5 years that it's going to go down a little bit because the area is starting to turn the wrong way. Well, I mean, you got to think about that.
Well, I've hammered this home a lot, and I want to bring it up one more time. Do not buy any property think it's going to appreciate.
No, that's not investing.
That's the east side of Oklahoma City.
That's gambling.
Well, that's the east side of Oklahoma City.
Sure.
People are buying over there anticipating that it's going to,
Well, this isn't California.
Yeah, or Phoenix.
Or Dallas or a lot of other places.
Okay.
Right.
So you got these matrices in your mind. You got like the structure, the physical, like A class, B class, C class.
Yeah.
And then we go into equity. Is that, do you lean towards more equity, towards cash flow? And then you said several times on percentage. So you're really trying to think like an investor of like, if it's anything to return on your investment.
I look at it a bunch of different ways. We're going to talk about cash on cash, but I mean, I go so far as looking at, if I'm looking at two different deals, I mean, sometimes I'll even go so far as what's my internal rate of return. What I want to look at my leverage rate. Am I really gaining through leverage? What's my break-even point? Where does that start to break down?
Yep. Awesome.
So, but
let's throw that out. We'll throw that one out.
Yeah.
So what's your break-even that you look for?
You mean as far as
term? Like, I have a matrix.
Yeah.
So I can tell you mine.
So, okay.
But I'd like to hear yours first.
So I look at my cost of money and right.
Good.
And I want to see what my leverage rate's going to gain me. At a certain point, that starts to break down and becomes. So technically, it can become negative leverage, right? At a
debt
certain
equity.
point. It's not necessarily debt equity. It's that your yield spread between what you're paying and what you're gaining starts to compress.
Usually after the first year, 12 months.
Yeah, it can. The longer that you hold the property, the worse it gets.
Unless you have interest only, which makes it more attractive.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah.
So
we're getting way off into the weeds
we're getting
there.
back into it right here.
Yeah.
So 3 years, I'm like having a party.
Yeah.
4 years, I'm like, this is amazing. 5 is where I stay on an internal rate return on breaking even on the asset, which is very difficult to do.
Yeah, it is. It's tough.
It's just interesting.
Yeah.
3 is like a home run, and they're possible. Like there was one that just popped up on the Village today. That's a potential.
Stop.
850.
Stop.
Hey, wholesalers out there, I gotta let y'all know.
You're gonna get me in trouble. I'll never get another.
No,
deal
I'm not
again.
gonna say anything. They don't even listen. They're too busy.
Stop.
They're too busy. Wholesalers hate me anyway. If they did, they'd call me.
Yeah. Well,
At least you got to text back.
Don't put me in the bus with you, bro.
That's why I told you we should have lunch first.
Yeah, don't put me in the bus with you. Anyway.
All right. Let's do a real cash on cash return. My friend.
I brought an actual example, and this is so this is a thing that I speak to people a lot about because you have outside money coming into Oklahoma City right now, buying property, and everybody's like, I don't get it.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. So I'm going to give you an example. This is a real life example. This property is in my portfolio. Okay. So I have a house that I bought almost 2 years ago now. The house is worth $93,000 on a drive-by appraisal. They've never been in it. Doesn't matter. Okay, I have a $70,000 loan on this house, and I have about $5,000 cash into it. After we bought it and remodeled it a little bit, I was in it for like 75. So I've got a $70,000 loan. I've got $5,000 cash in it. It rents for $1,050 a month.
I love these.
Okay,
Where this is going.
$1,050 a month.
Wow. Is this a condo?
No, I only fall for that trick once. Okay, so it rents for $1,050 a month. I hold 15% out for CapEx, vacancies, repairs.
Wow,
blah, blah, blah.
you're a sophisticated investor.
Yeah. Well, I don't always hold 15% out. Sometimes it's 12. But on this particular house, because it was older and we didn't do as much to it,
it's got to be bigger, right? 1,000.
It's actually a really small house, but it's in Yukon and Yukon rents. So
93,000 ARV.
Right.
75,000 all in, 5,000 actual cash.
Yeah.
So then now we do the formula.
Right. So I'm going to take my $1,050. I'm going to hold out my 15%, which drops me down to like $892.50. My principal, interest, taxes, and insurance is about $633 a month, which leaves me $259.50 per month.
Okay.
In cash flow. We're going to annualize that, so I'm going to take that number times 12, which gives me $3,108.
Okay. I'm writing it down.
Remember, I have $5,000 in this property.
So in 1 year,
I'm going to take that and divide it out. And that's going to give me a 62.16% return on my cash.
Well, and also an indicator a year and a half.
Yeah.
And you're not even factoring depreciation.
Nope.
Or
which in cash on cash, you're not going to look at those others, right? I'm not looking at a total return. I just want to know how much cash am I getting on my cash.
So you're getting 62%.
Every year I get 62%.
Well, not every year.
Oh, yeah, every year.
Well, you got your money paid back.
Right. Year 2.
So then it's infinite.
Not even 2 years. Right.
Okay. So why do we don't do 100 of these?
I'd take every one of those that I can get. So here, let's look at this a little differently.
I love
right?
it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's say this house is still worth $93,000, and this other investor he's all in at $90,000.
Okay.
Okay, he paid a lot more than I paid. His total position, and it's $90,000.
Now we're doing another cash on cash if you bought it straight out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we're still going to leverage this thing, right? So he's got $20,000 in it. He's got $20,000 in it.
So he's got a
versus
loan.
my $5,000. Right?
Okay.
That's a different type of investor, right? A guy that can just throw $20,000 at something is a lot different than a guy that can throw $5,000 at something and be okay with it. Or 10 in my case, right? Like my hard breakover's 10. Why is it that? Well, it's because I don't have the capital to leave $20,000 just sitting in one. But like if you throw $20,000 at that deal, cash, and you're in it for 90.
Same number instead of 5. We're talking
you're
20.
Still at 15.54% cash on cash. Now, so this is what I tell everyone when they're like, "Well, I don't understand it. That's not a good deal." Where else can you go?
Get 15%.
15%, and more than likely get 15% and pay no taxes on it.
Also, you have an appreciation asset.
Right, and you
tax
have
deduction. You can probably write off that 20 somewhere somehow.
This is why real estate's so beautiful, right? In addition to appreciation and the cash flow, and depreciation, and you get equity pay down too, right? A lot of people don't think about that, but
Well, my goal is to refinance out, but
sure. But that's money that you get to get for free, right?
I want to keep that ball rolling.
So what if this cat put $20,000 down, but instead of a 20-year note like I did, he put it on a 30-year note? Well, guess what? He's cash flowing more than I am. He paid more than me. He's got more cash in it, but he's cash flowing more than me.
But he's not getting as much equity as you are.
He's still getting 21%. He's still getting 21%
on a
return on his money.
On a 30-year
on a 30-year note, using the same money.
And
that product's out there. There are some really aggressive
today they are
secondary market companies. I actually had shout out to Hunter at Corvest. He took a big group of us to dinner in Dallas last week. And man, you want to talk about a really attractive product. This dude's doing 30-year AM with a 10-year rate fix.
One thing you need to think about too, I don't know if you think about this, but I do, that interest is deductible.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So in reality. So let's recap, unless you have anything else to say, but let's go over cash on cash return. So the actual cash that you have is your number.
Yeah.
And then you get the profit after you do your net profit, you add that up in 12 months, and then you divide that number into the amount
of cash that you initially put into
and that's
the property.
your rate of return, your ROI.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And then do you run it like that on a 20-year, 15-year, 30-year notes? And are you getting 20-year notes at your regular acquisition bank?
I am.
Okay.
I'm getting 20-year notes with everyone that I'm holding stuff with. Now, I will tell you, I have some banks that I put stuff with because their interest only and their origination are a lot more attractive on the front end. You really got to balance that out with what's it going to cost you to refi it on the back end.
On just curious, on your interest only loans, is there a term for those 12 months?
Yeah, so some banks are at 9, some banks are at 12, but usually
You can push it.
they'll push it out. Yeah, I can usually get up to 18 months interest only, which helps me also. So when you use that in combination with not having a ton of cash in it, it's really possible to pull most of your money back out of it in the first 18 months.
Or let's finish with that strategy, which is one of my favorites, which I've learned probably 15 years into my investing. So I've only been using that strategy for about 5 years now.
Yeah.
So I get a property with an interest only loan. So I take down all of the cash.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for example, let's just do big numbers. So on a $500,000 loan,
Right.
interest only, I don't know, 1%, whatever.
5% on a $500,000 loan is $25,000. So it's about a year. It's about
So
a little over $2,000 a month.
right, and I rent that out for 1%.
Yeah.
Is
Right.
$5,000.
Right.
I'll make $3,000.
Right.
And at the end of the year, it's $36,000.
Yeah.
It didn't cost me anything.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there's a lot of people that get into this game. Oh, you didn't have any pay down. The position didn't move.
Who cares?
But that I know.
It's a
well, that's
long-term
why
gain.
I like you, because you're a real investor.
So here's
It's
the real move.
It's about cash flow, mother.
Here's the real move. Even at your bank that offers 20-year AM and really good rates, I still ask them to put it on interest only for the first 12 or 18 months.
Yeah, I got to rehab it,
Right.
even though it's rent ready.
Well, so this is my deal, right?
No,
If I do have to rehab it, my carrying costs are lower on the front end while it's vacant. So I'm less into that property. Now, ideally I'm carrying it on their money, right? But I ask them that anyway. I want as long interest only on the front as I can be, so I can capture as much cash, and then we'll worry about it. I mean, a year or 18 months.
well,
isn't
I mean,
really
it
gonna
doesn't
matter to me.
create that much pressure on you to perform.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, in the first month anyway, you're going to pay all interest anyway.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it kind of balances out. Depends on what your strategy is.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a bunch of cash,
Well, that's a different story then, isn't it? Yeah. If you have a bunch of cash, more than likely you're buying it with cash. You're rehabbing it.
refinance out.
You're going to rent it up. You're going to get some yield on your money, right? And you're probably still coming out ahead versus just leaving it in the bank. I have a buddy that does it that way. He literally buys every house that he buys with cash.
Making his own money work.
Yeah. That's a damn sure way to get yield on your money.
If you have that type of capital. But I always like to use other people's money.
Sure.
I mean, just you can grow stronger. It just, again, it's also the climate of the industry right now. I mean, deals are not popping out of the sky.
Well,
people are stealing deals.
When they do, they go quick.
Yeah, like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
All right. So this is my homie, JJ Grits. I appreciate you stopping by.
Hey, man, the one thing I wanted to say before I go is a lot of these guys that are sitting on the sidelines not doing deals right now because they think the market's too hot or whatever, you got to get in the game. You got to be buying deals, okay? I know people that have been sitting on the sidelines for 3-4 years talking about market correction, this, that, and the other. Guess what? They've missed out on literally hundreds of deals in the last 3 or 4 years.
You know, I love your heart and passion because I know you're trying to speak to someone out there that needs that motivation. People ask me all the time. I literally was ignorant. I just did it. I didn't know it was in a bubble or a bust. I didn't know what was going on. But I know that assets work.
Yeah.
And you become wealthy by buying assets. You don't become wealthy sitting on the sidelines.
That's right. And a lot of times it's better to be stupid and courageous than really smart and timid. You know what I mean?
Well,
like, you just got to get in there and do the work.
Dude,
and that's how a lot of us have figured it out.
Yeah,
you know?
you're on it. Like, all of my transactions that seem to be so successful or wowed, like this property that we're in, were all challenges. See if I could do it.
Yeah.
And then they, like the apartment that I own, people think that I'm like, oh, wow, you're dude, nobody was down here. It was the cheapest thing I could afford. And thank goodness that my banker believed in me, because I tried to quit that.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Grits?
No,
with
that's
2
it.
T's.
Follow me. Follow our company on Instagram.
What is it? Icon
OKC.
And also, you have some meetups that you hang out. If you want to see this guy in the flesh.
Yeah. So we do happy hour the second Tuesday of every month.
Where's it at?
It's at VZD's on Western Avenue in Oklahoma City.
Cool bar.
At 6:30. You can find it on Facebook or meetup.com.
Why VZD's? It's a rockabilly bar still, right?
They have live music and stuff. Honestly, because it was next door to where we used to do it that shut down, and I called them and asked, and they said, "Yeah, come on over." So,
is it too loud in there?
No,
okay,
I mean
cool.
It has been, but we've worked through it.
Yeah.
So
hey, free entertainment.
Yeah,
couple drinks.
Yeah,
it's all about the networking, and we talked about that off the air. It's like, how do you grow? Meet new people.
Yeah, and it's not a formalized thing. Nobody's giving a speech. It's really just like talking with like-minded people or people that are doing hopefully better than you, and getting some pointers and tips and just camaraderie, man. This is a lonely business sometimes, and so it's good to get around other people that understand the struggle.
Dude, I love you, man. I love your heart. You've been doing it for Bigger Pockets for a long time. At the restaurant, I'd bump into you guys at the Mexican restaurant, and then you moved it tonight, and you've just been real faithful, man. And people don't know what it takes to put on events, and I appreciate you for supporting real estate investors in Oklahoma and around.
And thank you too, man. You've influenced a lot of lives in town. So,
all
right. So let's cut this bromance out.
Bye.
What is the Savvy Boot Camp? Are you struggling to get to the next level as a business owner, as an investor? Do you want to multiply your income? Sign up for the Savvy Boot Camp, a strategic and supercharged one-night and one-day event designed to shortcut your learning process and propel you forward. Just value, no upsells, and an intimate setting to build relationships with like-minded investors. We will be covering how personality profiling can make you a millionaire, outsourcing and the nitty-gritty of maximizing your property management, scaling your business through systems and automation, technology hacks you should be using every day, and how to raise private money. Go to www.savvybootcamp.com now to register or to find out more.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.